A man walks 20 miles a day, every day, no shoes, just thin leather sandals on dust, rock and burning sand. He sleeps on the ground, on hillsides, out in the open. Some nights he doesn't sleep at all. He prays on a mountain until sunrise, then walks down at dawn ready to heal a crowd. He fasts for 40 days in the desert, 40, no food, no shelter, and he walks out standing on his own 2 feet. This man lived 33 years in a world with no doctors, no medicine, no hospitals, no clean water. And here is the strange part. Stay with me. In the whole Bible, you will not find one single line that says Jesus got sick. Not a cold, not a fever, not a stomach bug, nothing. Now, I want to be honest with you, because that matters. The Bible is not a medical report. It doesn't tell us every time he was tired or every meal he ate, so we can prove he never had a single bad day. But here is what we can prove. We know exactly what people in his time and place ate. We know what was growing in that land. We know what was on his table. And when modern scientists study that food, the bread, the oil, the fish, the honey, they keep finding the same thing. This wasn't poor man's food by accident. This was some of the most powerful food a human body can eat. Food that builds energy, food that protects the heart, food that keeps the brain sharp and the body young. He didn't eat it because he knew the science. The science didn't exist yet. He ate it because that was the food that came straight from the dirt, the trees, the sea, and the hive. Let me show you what each one actually did to his body. We'll start with what he ate almost every single morning. The bread that gave him power all day. The first thing on the table almost every morning was bread. But forget everything you know about bread. Forget the soft white sliced bread from the store. That bread is dead. The good parts have been stripped out and sugar and chemicals pumped in. That bread makes you tired. It makes you gain weight. It spikes your blood sugar, then crashes you an hour later. Jesus never touched that bread. It didn't even exist. The bread he ate was made from barley, dark, heavy, rough, ground between 2 stones that same morning, mixed with water and a little salt, slapped flat, and baked on hot rocks or in a small clay oven. This is the bread that fed the 5,000. The Bible is specific about it: 5 barley loaves, not wheat, barley. Because barley was the food of poor people, and Jesus was poor. So what did that simple barley bread actually do inside his body? 3 things at once. 1. It gave him steady energy, not a spike and a crash like white bread and sugar. Barley releases its energy slowly, like a river, not a flood. Hour after hour after hour, which is exactly what you need when you're walking 20 miles across the hills of Galilee in the heat. 2. It protected his heart. Barley has a special kind of fiber that actually grabs the bad cholesterol in your blood, the stuff that clogs your arteries, and pulls it out of your body. So every morning, every piece of bread was quietly cleaning his blood from the inside. 3. It fed his gut. Inside your stomach live tiny living things, good bacteria. And these tiny things control more than you think. Your energy, your mood, your immune system, even your weight. Barley feeds them and keeps them. And when your gut is strong, your whole body is strong. One simple food, eaten every single day, doing 3 powerful jobs at once. And he didn't know any of this. He just ate his bread and kept walking. But bread was only the foundation. The next thing was in almost everything he ate, and it may be the most powerful of them all: the olive oil that kept him young. If bread was the foundation, olive oil was the blood of his diet. It was in everything. He dipped his bread in it. It was poured over his food. It was even rubbed on the skin. He lived in a land covered in olive trees. Think about the names. The Mount of Olives, where he prayed the night before he died, was named for them. The Garden of Gethsemane, where he was arrested. The word Gethsemane literally means oil press. Olive oil was everywhere in his life. And what it does to the human body is almost hard to believe. It fights inflammation. Every ache, every pain, every swelling inside your body, olive oil calms it down. It works like a slow, natural painkiller, not fast like a pill. But meal after meal, day after day, it's quietly putting out the fire inside your body, the same fire that causes so much disease. It protects the brain. People who eat olive oil every day think clearer, remember more, and stay sharp longer as they age. Now picture Jesus, teaching deep parables, debating trained scholars, remembering scripture perfectly, word for word. His mind was sharp as a blade. Olive oil helped keep it that way. It slows down aging. Olive oil is full of antioxidants. These protect your cells from breaking down. They slow the clock. And remember the world he lived in. Harsh sun, wind, dust, hard physical labor. People aged fast. Olive oil was the closest thing to a shield he had, and he wore it at every meal. A river of liquid gold running through his body, fighting damage, reducing pain, protecting his mind, keeping him strong. But there's one more food he ate constantly, a food so important that after he rose from the dead, it was the very first thing he cooked, the fish that built his body and protected his mind. Jesus grew up beside the Sea of Galilee. His closest friends were fishermen: Peter, Andrew, James, John. They fished every single day, and the fish they caught went straight onto the fire and straight onto the table. Fish was woven through his whole life. He multiplied fish to feed thousands. And after he rose from the dead, the very first thing he did was build a fire on the beach and cook fish for his friends. So why does that matter? Because fish is one of the most powerful foods on earth. It's clean, pure protein, the kind that builds muscle and repairs the body without the heaviness of red meat. And this explains his body. Jesus wasn't bulky. He was lean, strong, built for endurance, built for walking, climbing, and surviving. Fish gave him that kind of body. But the real power of fish is in the fat. They're called omega-3s. And here's the key. These are fats your body desperately needs, but cannot make on its own. The only way to get them is to eat them. What do omega-3s do? Something incredible. They turn off inflammation, the swelling in your joints, the pain in your knees, the fog in your brain. Omega-3s fight all of it. Now think about this. Jesus walked on hard, rocky ground every single day of his life. By the standards of his world, his joints should have been worn down by 30, but they weren't. He kept walking, he kept climbing, he kept moving. And one real, physical reason for that is simple. He was eating fish almost every day, and that fish was flooding his body with the exact compound that protects the joints, protects the heart, and protects the brain. So look at what was happening. The barley fed his gut, the olive oil protected his brain and his heart, and the fish came in and did all of it again, building his body, guarding his joints, and feeding his mind at the same time. These foods weren't working alone. They were working together. And there was one more thing. He ate something sweet, something simple, that may have made him almost impossible to get sick. The honey that made him hard to kill. Here's a scene most people skip right past. After the resurrection, after he came back from the dead, Jesus appeared to his disciples, and they were terrified. They thought they were looking at a ghost, so he said something very ordinary. "Give me something to eat." And they handed him broiled fish and a piece of honeycomb. And he ate it right there in front of them. One of the very last things Jesus ate on this earth was honey, straight from the comb. And honey is not just sweet. Honey is a weapon. It kills bacteria, not slowly, it destroys them. Some bacteria that survive modern antibiotics still cannot survive inside raw honey. The ancient Egyptians knew this. They packed wounds with honey. They treated infections with honey. And it worked. It strengthens your immune system. Honey helps wake up the cells in your body that hunt down invaders, the viruses and bacteria that don't belong. It makes your body's defense army stronger and faster. And it heals your gut. Honey feeds the same good bacteria that barley feeds. So think about that together. Barley and honey were building a kind of fortress inside his digestive system. A fortress that kept disease out and kept energy in. No refined sugar, no candy, no soda. When Jesus wanted something sweet, he ate honey. And that honey wasn't just feeding him, it was actively making him harder to get sick. But what about between meals, walking for hours between towns, in brutal heat? There was food for that too. The fruits that fueled the journey, resting under trees, teaching on hillsides, walking from town to town. Between meals, Jesus ate fruit, the fruits of the promised land, the very ones God listed when he described the land he was giving his people. Figs. The Bible tells us directly that Jesus went looking for figs on a tree. Figs are packed with natural energy. They're full of fiber that keeps your digestion moving, and calcium that strengthens your bones. Dried figs were the traveler's food light to carry, full of fuel, the original energy bar. Dates. Pure, concentrated energy wrapped in fiber. Dates gave him fuel for long walks in the heat, without the crash that comes from sugar. They also kept his potassium high, the mineral that stops your muscles from cramping and keeps your heart beating steady. Exactly what a man walking all day in the sun needs. Grapes. eaten fresh off the vine or dried into raisins. Grapes protect the heart, fight inflammation, and slow aging. Pomegranates, one of the most powerful fruits on earth. They help clean your arteries, lower blood pressure, and fight damage deep at the cellular level. The ancients carved pomegranates into the pillars of their temple. They knew this fruit was special. Science now says they were right. Every one of these fruits did something different. Together, they covered almost everything his body needed between meals, energy, protection, repair. And then there's the one food people argue about the most. Yes, Jesus drank wine. Let me show you why that mattered. The wine that protected his blood. Jesus drank wine. This isn't a debate. It's right there in the Bible. His very first miracle was turning water into wine at a wedding. His last meal included it. "This is my blood," he said. But here's what most people get wrong. Ancient wine was not what you buy in a store today. It was usually watered down 1 part wine to 2 or 3 parts water. It was light. And part of the reason they drank it was that plain water often wasn't safe. The wine helped kill the bacteria in the water and made it safe to drink. And in small, diluted amounts, wine does something remarkable. It relaxes your blood vessels. It can lower blood pressure. It carries compounds from the grape skin that fight damage and reduce inflammation. Jesus wasn't drinking to get drunk. He was drinking what everyone drank, a light, diluted, natural wine that quietly protected his heart with every sip. Maybe the answer was on his plate. Now step back. Look at everything this one man ate in a single day. Barley bread, steady energy, clean arteries, a strong gut; olive oil, less pain, a sharp mind, slower aging; fish, strong muscles, protected joints, a clear brain; honey, a supercharged immune system and a healed gut; lentils with garlic and onion, protein, iron, and nature, antibiotics; figs, dates, grapes, pomegranates, energy, strong bone, arteries, repair; wine with water, a protected heart;